I have a large collection of arcade games. I wonder how much money it would cost me to complete all of them if it was a real arcade. Only one way to find out. In video games, the concept of a one-man army is a tried and tested formula. Being able to take down armies of foes single-handedly can offer a lot of fun, and this concept has taken many forms against multiple foe types. Soldiers, zombies, fascists, zombie fascists, the list goes on. It's good old mindless violent fun, and sometimes that's all you need. An arcade title that can offer this kind of satisfaction is Taito's 1990 game, Aqua Jack. Also known as Aquattack, Aqua Jack is a vehicle shooter where you fight off an invading army using nothing but a machine gun and a hovercraft. The intro sequence is the shortest I've ever seen, although admittedly I might have pressed the button too soon. Two soldiers are casually sunbathing. My, what a dangerous life the army is. A nearby plane takes off and then the city bursts into flame. Not sure how though. The two soldiers jump into the hovercraft, I assume it to be Aqua Jack, and the game begins. The game takes place over 8 rounds and tracks your progress as you advance through the game, revealing a little of the bare minimum story at the end of every level. In a game like this though, it's not about the story, it's about the violence. Sweet, pixelated violence. Mechanics and controls are bare minimum too, but not in a bad way, though the controls feel very odd to handle at first. The controls are a 2-button stick scheme. Well, kind of. The original cabinet had a joystick and a pedal you would use. God, those were the best machines, the ones that were like vehicles. Your hovercraft would automatically move at a slow pace, but pressing the pedal down would accelerate your vehicle. And admittedly there is more than 2 buttons. The 3 buttons on the joystick, 2 thumb buttons and a trigger, would allow you to shoot, jump and use a missile for a full screen attack. However, it will feel like a 2-button control scheme because you'll just be using shoot and missiles most of the time. The joystick itself is where the controls feel odd at first. You use it to steer, but also to aim. Aiming it up and down isn't a problem, but aiming it left and right make the vehicle turn, and you often find yourself heading straight into an obstacle or a bullet while trying to shoot down enemies, and in this game, one hit and you're dead. I think they should have called this hovercraft a glass cannon instead. The aiming does have an assist mechanic however to try and counter this issue. The aiming cursor is made up of a red and yellow part. The yellow part is where you are aiming. Once you move it over a target, the red section will break off and attach itself to an enemy. The red part is where the gun on the hovercraft is aiming. This feature means that you could potentially aim at a target to get a lock on them, then keep shooting while you're avoiding incoming hazards. Traffic in a war zone, am I right? You get 3 lives per credit, which will vanish faster than sex in a marriage if you aren't careful. Speaking of fast, the levels themselves can be pretty quick. I timed this first level, and it took 1 minute 11 seconds to complete, and that's with 2 deaths. It was like sex with a fuck buddy, fast but full of action. At the end of every level is a boss. The first is the plane that can ignite buildings by flying over them. No special tactic required for this one. Blast it to shit and avoid the enemies it spawns and then ride off into the sunset victorious. The game tallies up your score and you get a single frame of a cutscene, quote unquote. Why is he so big and she's so tiny? 90s arcade art was so amateur. The next level introduces a new mechanic of dry land, and it doesn't make sense. While you can drive on the land, it's discouraged because it makes you go slower. It's a hovercraft! They're meant to work on both sea and land. It makes no sense, especially when this tank is flexing on us by using both at the same time. This level also genuinely made my eyes hurt a little because of the sudden colour scheme change. The graphics of the game are good for the time. The glass cannon looks finely detailed and has nice turning animations. The obstacles in the levels can also look as finely detailed and the explosions are convincing, if brief. Sometimes the level's route will make you turn and it transitions so smoothly into it instead of a harsh angle like in other games. Even your death animation is delightfully destructive. I can appreciate the amount of effort that's gone into the visual element of this game. What I personally like about the graphics though, is that the backgrounds aren't half-arsed. The land you can see in the distance is clear despite the reduced detail, but they also have it reflected in the water, and the water itself also has a nice effect on it. Rather than it being a flat colour, its effect gives off the impression of ripples. It's a nice touch, and I like how it gives the backgrounds a sense of life to it. There are some moments that can break the consistency of the graphics, but the vast majority of the game's image is as pretty as it is chaotic. A fine work of its time, show some respect. The boss of this level is a tank that sits on a bridge that blocks your advancement. There is a slight tactic to this boss, in that you can only shoot the cannon which is on its own robot giraffe neck. You can still move from side to side while fighting it, and again, it's not a difficult boss. I hope this isn't a theme going forward. Are we interrogating Fidel Castro? Level 3, looks a lot like the last one. Same enemies, same colours, same annoying bits of land. Why are these bits of land here? Are we still in Cuba? Why do my lives look like robot owls? Why do I feel like I'm right about the theme of easy bosses? Oh shit, no I'm not! Fuck me! While level 3 looks, and to be honest, plays like the last level, its boss is a refreshing fight. This boss takes a beating. It took all 3 of my missiles and a fuck ton of tic-tac bullets. Though to be honest, it might not have taken damage from my missiles because I blew them up prematurely. There, I said it before you did in the comments. This boss actually requires you to put some skill in, as it launches multiple missiles along the ground so fucking fast. Much swerving will be going on here, though its aim isn't always the best. Through sheer luck, I did it without dying though, and I'm certain I should have at times. But it was nice to have a boss that tested me. Is that an alien? Is this a reference to the claim Fidel Castro spotted a UFO? Level 4, a new colour scheme, woo! And the music is unusually upbeat in this one too. The sound in this game is... it's okay. Nothing special, but it's what you expect from a war game. Rapid firing of bullets and explosions, though they decided to add a voice line to this guy. Which does not get irritating at all. The sounds are so loud though they drown out the music. The music is flawed, but not necessarily bad. It matches the theme of the game and complements the action well, with a big dose of 90s vibe to it. However, the music track sounds similar, sometimes too much. There are noticeable differences, and limitations of tech might have had a role in it, but in comparison to the main tracks, the game over and the victory music sound much different. Oh no. No, don't do this. Don't be recycling old bosses. Oh shit! Okay, so the game does a little bit recycle the old bosses, but at least this boss has new attacks. Rapid fire mortars. I wonder if it takes as much of a beating as the previous. Never mind. Level 5. Oh, Castro, you're back. While you're here, did you see a UFO? Back to the open waters. In these levels you can go wherever you want, unlike the others where you're limited to a cramped river. Though this level has got one of the toughest enemies you will fight so far. The variety of enemies slowly grows as you progress through the game. Most enemies are flying types, taking forms of helicopters and jets, and sometimes you'll see a tank on the ground. The behaviours of enemies can vary slightly. Sometimes they attack in formation, others like to act like lone wolves. Some are stationary on the ground, and some will only appear in certain level types. Aside from that, there isn't much difference between them. They roughly have the same amount of health, little differences between the same types of enemy bar a colour swap, and a few different designs, and the majority of the attacks look the same. In this level though, there isn't a boss, but it has got more of the tougher enemies in it. The toughest is this cockend. All you need to do is watch the video and you can see why he's a dick. It fires continuously with no break in its pattern, so if you want to try and shoot it, you have to get dangerously close to get a lock on. Chances are though, this cunt is going to kill you a lot. If the tactic was to avoid his bullets until it had to reload, then you shoot at it, that would be fine. But all this enemy is what I call a wallet milker. An enemy designed to fuck you over to get more money out of you. Enemies aren't the only threat that changes as you play. The environment will also start to get more dangerous. It starts off as a few trees, rocks and naval mines, but eventually becomes pipes and oh god, Trump's wall! Oh, it was just as easy to get around as the real one. I like this though because it does add variety to the levels, more than enemies do. I just wish more effort was put into the enemies. Level 6. Wait, when was the Aqua Jack, the glass cannon red? There's little mistakes, and then there's that. There's not a lot to say about this level other than it's eerily quiet, and the boss is the boss from the 3rd level, but now it acts like a regular enemy. What a disappointingly boring level. I certainly hope that doesn't mean there's a decline from now on. Well, let's hope that level 7 picks up the pace, because it looks like we're about to assault a base. Oh shit, I rhymed, fuck. And why is the glass cannon so tiny now? I'm not a good artist, and I won't ever be, but even I can tell the perspective on that is shit. Wait a minute, it's a snowy level? Weren't we just in the jungle? Perspective is a noticeable flaw in this game. Judging the incoming bullets and the position of obstacles is tricky, leading to deaths and non-death that you didn't expect. With a bit of time, you could get used to it, but it's still something that could screw you over out of your last life, especially when the rules keep changing. Watch this, I crash into this one? Nothing. But not this one? Why? Fuck you, I want your money, that's why. If I can say one positive thing about this level, is that the boss is actually something different and it did make me giggle a little bit. A train drives by between two cliff sides, armed with a fuck ton of vehicles on it. Each of the vehicles will attempt to rain bullet hell on you, and it feels like that only through luck do you not get hit. When you destroy the vehicle currently shooting at you, the train backs up and you do it again and again until everything on the train is dead. I hate bosses that make you rely on luck rather than skill, but at least this boss was different. It also made me laugh because it was like one of those old game shows where they go, let's see what you could win! 3 men on a metal box, a snowmobile, a green hovercraft, a pink helicopter, a hovercraft with ugly colours, a mobile turret, 9 more men stood on metal boxes and 3 men stood on a train. All yours if the price is right. Level 8, the final level. Why Castro again? Just put him in a cage instead of dragging him around. The final level does actually portray the atmosphere of a final showdown well, but it could be done a little better. Snowy environment, base structures, lightning strikes, all work, but sadly, no new enemy type. Most of the enemies are the weaker versions of the ones you fought in earlier levels, with the occasional small wall. It's not really that difficult of a level either, until you reach the boss. The boss of this level is the most vile, dangerous, and destructive machine ever to be built. It's claimed many lives and laid waste to countless one-man armies before you. And that machine is... a door. With guns. I called that guy a wallet milker. This one is definitely a wallet milker. It has 7 guns on it. 6 at the base and 1 that moves along the top shooting fireballs. At least 2 of the guns are shooting at all times, and rapidly, making it very difficult for you to maneuver between shots, and consequentially, harder to aim, as you'll find yourself in unavoidable firing patterns way too often. Shooting the base guns eventually destroys them, but they can only be destroyed one at a time. Destroying one will make it slightly easier, for you to avoid shots, but it will still be a piss take. All the bosses up until the train were bosses you had to be tactical with when fighting, to varying degrees. It's a shame that right at the end the developers put in these cheap fuck bosses that rely on luck to not get hit. The door also takes a massive beating, even with all the missiles you throw at it, but if you have the right luck and wallet endurance, you can defeat it and at the same time, break your immersion. Once that boss is defeated, the ending sequence plays. You storm the base of the big bad guy and the female soldier goes on a rampage, with the most casual war face ever that would make Kirsten Stewart jealous. She unloads a magazine into the big bad, but oh no, it was a robot and he's still alive and still just as ugly. What the fuck even is he? Honestly, it is kind of a disappointing ending because not only did you not kill the big bad guy, but you didn't even learn anything about him apart from the fact he's grey, ugly and has pointy ears. Your final score is tallied up and the credits roll as the enemy fly sideways over the Aqua Jack, glass cannon, which has changed colour again. Wait a sec, character design Santa Claus Company? Aqua Jack is a decent game. It's got good action with balanced difficulty, for the most part, nice visuals and a simple and sweet gameplay mechanic. It does take a dip at the end, but it's still a chaotically fun game, and playing it I can see why it was the 14th most successful arcade machine of the year of its release. I would recommend this one gets a play from you, especially if you get the chance to play it on the original arcade machine, because I feel like it'll be more immersive. And that was Aqua Jack. Thanks for watching everyone. Join me next time where we'll be fighting zombies using guns and terrible voice acting.